Ganilchish, achtu yatee, ujini awul atgiye. Yeawa yang hatawasagu qanakh away Adeilí yatee. Táax'aa aya yuqakitan. Helwasaqaqwati yang. Helachtua ushku nikdein aya. Yagachtuqa yaqa ide. Tag tashekaqwati yang. Atya awone shukwa ayi. Chuoya ya Héen chikakwach aya. Atchikakwach Héen. Aqa awe tashatua ushku adakhawe akausakhai. Ajawe x'áan tinka gachta aq. Cleide Héen awech wa achleid chaqenach chalqawu qeidach yatee. Cleich aqa cleidach qa awe shukwa awe jilqa dewu kuch. Dukhuni aya dukani gwash aye wuti. Wooch ke hast wutiyen. Aqa awe dukani neil yi dewu gud. Dukani awe awsi gwash utlchi gwash qeqa shingitat khai. Aqa awe duch ayich awsi we atcha. Qunne aya awacha we shalqa atayi ye natij du jin. Dukani awe dukuiki ye awsaqa. Ili tleshach tua ushku awuchech awe I jintak. Yata aya we utlchi. Ye awe ye awaqa ko aweqa. Tleshach tua ushku. Just Táax'aa wutluku at x'áani adakhawe wutluk. Shtakat x'áani achtuwasagu ganilchish. Ye awa at ya awune. Yat atin yagachtutlaq shtakat yuhan. Wan qanins tsu aryetki. Hastu khwashatu. Ade qatuwa nuguya. X'áan hastu tuye tiwan qanins. Neltakatuhan. Hastsu. Yetki. Haku. Kashdasakaki x'áan tin. Janak. Watusaku ch'ak. X'áan tin aya. Ukhkek qwati haqusti. Yaach tlil kutlein. Chadasa aya. X'áan du tudye owati. Qunakhawe kliyeye wuti. Wan qanins ya yidate quu. Ye hasuwaji. Gwash klesh ya awuneyi. Tlakawe yuqakwatan hasta ide. Tlaik. Ye awe gwashingitundatani. Ch'ak quu yatayach. Kleshach tua ushku. X'ántin yexsaneyi. Achawe kaltagenach aya. Qune kuk qwanuk. Achawe x'áan achtuye yati. Ye awe yashkashnik we Táax'aa. Hain awe aḳwáan kadat. Kalqawu. Ya tlakhdach x'áan aya. Ye awsane. We kiki we yadako. Achawe Táax'aa qutzati. Du x'áan dach. Tlakani Tlakawe x'áan hastu tuye natij. Aqa awe qune nikdein aya. Ye guxsane. Yaltakat yech. كلها أشكقها أول قني أداتي يجكختني يشكلنيك سو يجكختني أدا كي جن كات سلايدز أوي يوتو أطلاق أجوي تاك أتنخي يجكختني أقا ḵusax يتلي هاوتين قني أداتي يجكختني يسكو يشكلنيك دخيت خايا يسأخ يا شاداغ أوسكي أتحجي وقوع يأوها تواسقو أخاكي ديخ يتيشكلنيك آس يديخ يتيشكلنيك آس يخ يتيشكلنيك ين أوا ودي آس يخ يتيشكلنيك يأوي أخ تواسقو تسو قواليخ أخواوسي خنقننيك يتااx'aa شكلنيكي أخ تواسقو يطلاقي أخ تواسقو كدين كايلنيكي يشكلنيك أجوي تو أداتي جكختوني ويقاو قل إيل كدخ أيا تقدي هسو لغاز يا هتلاقو خون كيان خنخوي جاكو تلاقو أت أجوي يا قنختي دي هسو هين يا كتيل وقصخ aḳwáan يا آتلين قوتسو هس أوسكو يشكلنيك نشكا كويكان أخوآ هس أوسكو تخنخ تلاك أوي تلاكي وي أوهان شنجد قلتكت وي دني قوء قوش قاو هخسكو قني وشتخ هس يوسدق يشنجد خا شتكتس تالتان تاجيش تشوني تشوكو أوهان جاك كنخ جاك أجوي ويشكلنيك هجيو خاوي خوتس قياقو تلقيشة واتريداتو كاود هيت يا يدت يوهان جادو تلاك أداتي جكختني قوا ख़usax aḳwáan كتيل يدو ساق يشكلنيك تود ياتاتسو قص قويل تيقيساني كتلت táax'aa يأوى أساق أوى أتويتي ياتاتسو يتيخ وتيخ كيقوتيخ ga أي أتويتي أتوي كي أتلون أوتلون أقوتلون ينقت وجود كقاقود يق ينقت يق وقت يق كقاقود يق وقت كل يق وجود أقاق هشي أقاق هوشي أقاق قوشي أو ستين يأقخ ستين ياتا قا أتويتي أتوي يقوتتي أشكاق يا أنسكوين أو سكو أقخ سكو أسخا أو سخا أقخ سخا الشخشت الشاوخيتش الشققوخيتش ينسكت وتزجيد Yik qoskid yatatsu. Qa. Ya anastain. Ausata. Aguxata. Unai at. Gwall touch ua jakit okaneitsu. Ya anayan. Aḥwáan ya anayin. Awaya. Ke aḥwáan. Wait atsu. Ke. Ga atuyeti. X'áan. Yak. Hit x'áan. Yug. Ya analkuts. Aushakuts. Aguxakuts. Wait tich. Akatwujachin. Akadekakwaschin. Awashat. Ke akwashat. Yatatsu. Ga atuyeti. Shoot at the ark. Shoot out the ak. Shoot the agurta ark. Akadeya anahut. A cut our hut. A kade akwahut. Ash'uch. Ausha'uch. Ke agursha'uch. Astacht. Ausatach. Ke agursatach. Ga atuyeti. Redu'a yashkashnik. Yudakqa'aya aqehawutich. Kachaya wutik hakusti ach. Watik isayucha awuch x'áan qini. Xusax qutzati wegao. Kleinach qa awalun. Tlallek wugud. Du kik du iqaquwashi. Tlallu ayatsu tlallek wugud. Shek ugud aya yakiki a. Chayanas qaqaya du hunxuhasqa yakunashin. Aya dak ya shaq aya ausatini qa aya. Chutlay ayu ausaqu ḳusax aḥwáan x'ati. Ashkhandi ya nagút. Ashashawachich awe. Ḥusax aḥwáan awe shawachich. Wudzgid. Adachawe ausatawe yadak tlagweil tude. Tle awayadu hiti atla ayede. We yadak qoa awe we yana tuwu. Awe aku aqawe atu dakhke wugudi. Ashkuts yatee x'áani. Atu dakhke gud awe du jit wujachin. We ḥusax aḥwáan xusi. Ayayich ke uwahan qaanax'aa. Chutle qaanax'aa yuch yuyanas eeltín awe ashawachich. Shoot at the ark tle akat awachut. Waski sekech sene we ḥusaxwan ketlkike. Aya chal adayan kachtu de shatri awe awlauch. We ḥusax aḥwáan ketlti awe awlauch. Kawayich ne awe Táax'aa xusati. Ajawe Táax'aa kukas tach. Ye awe wuti. Ye ayayande shakakwatan. Yata de adati jutune. Washlisatin glade qaqinach. Gwashyata adati jutune. Yang. Gwash. yata. Yatakoa adach ausata wa yadak tlegweil tude achtuasaku khan Kayaaní tlegkak inach dasawe ka khanawus dasa ituasaku yisaku. Adach ausata dasawe.
You dragged him from there?
Not dragging. So if we go back to
Picked it up and put him in the bag.
ye awa. So here's our ausata. So ach or adach. Those ach is just a contraction of adach. Same thing.
And he was unconscious.
Yes, so ausata is a dead thing, an unconscious person, or a sleeping baby. Those are your three categories. So picked him up off of it. So that's what the adach is doing. So when you pick something up, it should have ach in front of it, or adach. That should probably be low. Okay, I'm not going to worry about it. Wayadak. What is wayadak?
The young man.
The young man. Tlegweil tude.
Put it in the bag or the.
Yes. Then put it in the bag. And so the nice thing that shows us here is that you only need one verb, right? You only need the verb once. So that's pretty nice because you don't have to say tlegweil tude ausata, right? And so here, adach ausata wayadak. And so we know who the boy is. So we already know who's doing everything right here, right? Because there's just the boy and the cannibal at this point. Then into the bag. So as far as like doing a sequence of things, that's pretty helpful to know that you can do it that way. Any questions about that? Ḳ'áwáyá duhiti aţa'ayéde. So, what do we got here?
He took him back to his house,
Yes.
his university.
Yes. Took him to where the
Piano.
library is. Or the piano. Took him to where the piano stands. I'll figure it out. I thought I had a solution. I'll figure it out. I guess I need a different building. What should I use? What building is going to be recognizable? Empire State Building? But there's too many, right? The state, the SOB.
Let's just hit.
It's a house? Okay. Well, let's do a house. And then to be situated somewhere. Okay.
And is the awaya the packing it?
Packing on the back. Yep.
Yeah.
Away. So going back to, I think, did I have that one on here? I did, yeah. So here it is. Awaya. So it's to pack something on your back. It doesn't have to do with a backpack. It just means packing it on your back. It could be a kid, it could be a deer, it could be a backpack. Right? Okay. Ḳ'áwáyá. So that's what the tle does. Then packing on its back. And how is this working? We kind of talked about this.
To his house.
Yes. And why is the yatee on there?
Yatee. That's the direction? I don't know.
Is it like toward the place where his house was situated?
Yes. So you can have aḳwáan, yeah, and that would be the place where it is standing. And in this case, duhiti aḳwáan, yeah. If we just had that part, the place where his house is situated. So that is an example of how you can go towards that place. So you can go yatee, you can go yadach. And again, so here's awa, which is now becoming the motion verb. Duhiti aḳwáan yatee. Then it packed him on its back to where its house was standing. Where you duck away with yana too.
The young man, however,
Did he
So
come to
anyway,
his
that's one thing that
senses?
comes to mind. At this point, I think everybody.
The boy is inside of that bag.
Yes, right?
Mm,
So here,
mm.
the boy. And in this case, what the ḳusax does, it says, we're talking about someone else. That's the primary function, right? And so this is another way that ḳusax works. This
Okay.
is to say this one. So now, because what the story does, like this, the boy is doing everything. Then all of a sudden it starts
Mm,
doing ḵusax. Now we're going to talk about the cannibal doing stuff.
mm,
Back to the boy. That's what this does right here.
mm.
Ḳusax. So the ḳusax and the ch and the ush all have these ways of saying who's doing what now. So now we should, and what we'll see is everything has switched. We'll switch back to the boy. Okay, and then what we get is yana is another. There's another way to say this, which is yanadi, and that's a backpack. So it comes. So the verb is right there, the one that packs on the back, right? And then tultóow is to be located inside, just like awu, wedu, yadu, tultóow. And that's just remembering tultóow is thoughts, feelings, intentions. Tultóow is desiring something, wanting it, liking it. Tultóow, inside of something, located inside of something.
How'd the boy get inside the bag?
The cannibal put him in there.
Ah,
Go back a little bit. Táax'aa where you duck.
oh, after he hit him on the head, huh?
Yeah, the unconscious one. He was
Okay.
unconscious in the bag.
It picked him up and put him in there.
Okay.
Awa aku ak, awa atu duck ke wugudi.
Somebody's walking somewhere.
Yeah,
Ah, almost looks like Little Lake, but I don't think it is.
aku ak.
Right.
Tried. In this case, he is trying. Right? Because or else it would have akawa ak. And he's trying it. So that's what there's a third person object on there, which means to try it. Try it out. And this verb could work for, it works really well for like tying it to another verb. He's trying to something. And so the pattern that we're getting is an imperfective here, which is wild because we kind of talked about that. Like, when do they use imperfectives? It seems to be pretty strategic. And then what we have here is a subordinative, which is the negative perfective. So you'd say, Klesh atudach kewugud. They didn't come out of that bag, but you get wugudi, and that's what you get. So that's why this is short instead of WOO, because it's the negative form, but that's how we put these things together. So we could have aḥwáan. He's trying to eat it, right? And it's a really interesting thing in terms of like, because we have to remember it's not about time, it's about events, and it's just how these things work. So what we have is atudach kewugudi. In that case, he is trying to get out of the bag. Tudach from the inside. Gut is to walk up, right? But he's trying to get up. He's trying to get up and get out of there. So it's kind of doing two things at the same time, I think. And maybe we need to change it.
So we switched from what the cannibal did. Now the sentence is about what the boy. This is about
Yes.
the boy. Okay.
This x'áan is actually going to switch to the boy for the remainder of the story.
Okay.
So in storytelling, once you do this x'áan thing or the ch launch, it switches who's doing the action. And then it's who's doing the action until it switches again.
Goodness, geez. That'll help to follow along then. Figure. Ooh. Okay.
Now this boy, he's doing everything to the end. It's a spoiler. Yatee x'áan.
So that's the string.
And he breaks the string.
He broke it.
Ah.
And what's interesting, right? So he is, and then he, and then I guess I would say these, right? So like if we really stick to like what's going on in the Tlingit, he is trying to get out of it. He is breaking these strings, like aḥwáan, it's happening right now. Or the aḥwáan. And this would have been aḥwáan. Right?
We bounce back and
But
forth
this
with
is the
version.
exciting part of
I
the
set
story.
that out.
Yeah,
And so the
But that's
teller
the
and the
background
audience are
15
right there.
And that included a
breaking it.
link to the how-to on the website.
atudach kewugud dujit woochchin ḵusax aḥwáan ḵusax.
He walked out of the bag. From the bag.
And we talked a little bit last week about what this thing is doing. Atudach kewugud. And we see something, we got to kind of back up. So let's see, that's slide 57. Maybe it's on this one. Aya, when he didn't come back. So this is another way to do like when this thing happened. I see it with motion verbs. Again, when they got there, or when the boat got to shore. And then you can have something else. So it seems to be just getting straight to the, gut, and so you get a zero classifier on it. So you're only getting the root, but that's just because it's a zero classifier. So if we go back to here, atudach kewugud, what is that now doing?
When he got out of it, when he walked out.
Yeah, when he got out of it, dujit woochchin. Do we remember the woochchin?
Oh, okay.
So the verb is for something heavy to fall. So you do have a metaphor here. So you have a metaphor, dujit wujachin. And how would we, we xusax aḳwáan xusi. So there's your noun. And what is the noun? Xusax aḳwáan xusi.
This club.
Yes, the cannibals club. Now what do we get for dujit wujachin?
He hit him really hard.
Got the heavy club?
What
It
is
fell into his hand.
fell into his hands, right? So, and again, like you could say he grabbed it, he got, but it's sort of like when you would use this phrase, it's like when it's like it just fell right into my hands, right? It's like it implies, I think, good fortune and other things like so. Like when you're saying this, you're saying like he came upon it, like it just it's interesting the way these things are talked about. Because you could say he grabbed it, you could say he saw it, you could do a whole bunch of those things. But when you say something like achjit wujachin, it's like it just, boom, like I held my hand out, it just fell right into my hand. So really neat stuff going on here.
A thief might say that, huh? When something fell into his hands.
Right? Like this giant diamond necklace. Okay. Okay. Getting near the end. Ayayich keuwahan Táax'aa. I didn't have a visual for any of these. So, I also think we need to look at yayich, which I think I wrote down somewhere. And I also don't think this one is in the dictionary, so I'll have to give you folks the answer. Unless anybody knows. It is a suffix on yayee. So yayee.
Can I try it? 50-50. Call a friend. It's there inside from, up he stood, out through there. So he got out and stood up. Is that right? I can't hear you.
I accidentally muted myself. There's a little button on the top of this. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so keuwahan is standing. This yich is not going to be inside of it, but there is a related one, which is, we'll usually say yiqa. So the related version I'll put right here. So for example, yiqa khahan. What this translates to, anybody know what this translates to? Yiqa khahan.
I'll take a guess. Oh.
Cook.
Is he just like standing inside it, like waiting there?
You've got the second
Standing for him.
part is dead on.
Say that again.
The second thing you said is dead on.
Yeah, he's just like waiting within inside it.
Yeah, so this yiqa, you can put after a person. So you say yiqa, yiqa, yiqa. Then you end up with some sort of verb that has to do with standing, sitting, or just being still. And this is, I'm standing here waiting for you.
Oh,
Iyiqaxahan. Iyiqaxa'a. I'm sitting here waiting for you. Iyiqatliyekyeqatkakwati. I'll be here waiting for you. I'll be still. And you could use this as a command for kids. Axiqatliyeyeyinati. Yag. Sit here, be here and wait for me. Or you could say a sit verb, you know. Axiqa qayqi. Yag. Sit here and wait for me. Here, right? So that's what the yi does here, right? So it's yi plus qa. So there is this other variation of it, which is ya yi. So this is to be in wait for. Ya yich. He is waiting for it. Kayaaní, standing. And this is where he's standing. Do we know Táanáx'aa?
Outside.
Gone is outside. Yes. And the
True.
oh, go ahead. The first time I heard Táanáx'aa was I was working with Marge George translating a sentence which was this. Just way shak. Táanáx'aa aḥwáan. Only a strawberry has seeds on the outside. So Táanáx'aa is the outside, the area outside of it. So we might have a couple of new words here. So the sample sentences, well, I don't think, I just put yatee in the dictionary because I didn't have it in there. But I do have x'áan. And let's see, here I'll show you folks. So the sample sentences, Ach-gan-nach galliechi do ya ak chush to hit. This is why a place is built outside. A place is prepared for people, a brush hut. Shak'áa just awe akidi ganach ayayati. Strawberries are the only fruit with seeds on the outside. So I will have to check the tone on it. It might be low. Yeah, that's it. Ganach. I think it's this one.
Is the verb root for that like to sit?
I think it's just a contraction of that place. I think. Because it just means around the outside, the area outside. So there's no sort of verb associated with it. You could put a verb, usually the verb, you know, so in this case you'd say ayayich. So there's three parts to this. Waiting for it, or in wait for it, right? So this would be a good verb or a good kind of thing to say, like, I'm waiting here because I'm hunting something, right? So I'm waiting for it. Ḥusax, ayayich, x'áan. I'm sitting here waiting for a deer, right? And so then you have this is a directional suffix. Kayaaní, he stood up. Táanáx'aa, on the outside of it. So this, when you put it all together, he's waiting outside of his house for it, standing. He stood up to wait for it outside of its house. Okay. Táanáx'aa wooch yanas eeltín awa a x'áan. What are the parts that we have here?
Suddenly, and the area outside of it.
Yeah, well, I would say this is like just then. All right, well, we'll start it with like just then. Because I know we did, earlier we had it suddenly, but I think it's sort of like tultóow ḵusax aḥwáan. It was just then he knew. So there is this, sometimes there is a sense of immediacy with it. And that is, I think, what you're going to end up with. But we're just going to sort of piece it together and then work on it. So that gets us to wooch yanas eeltín.
Something to do with something growing.
There is Kayaaní for something to grow, but yanas is a little different. And I could put this in a perfective if that will help you. In the perfective, it would be yatee. Which we can go look for.
I feel like is related to sitting or being situated.
There is sitting, there's situated. I do think it is a different root. So you have, so here's yatee, swim underwater, but with head emerging every so often, to peer or to peep, to examine, expect, look into, judge, assess, kiss. With this verb, what yatee really refers to is poking your face somewhere. That's really what it means. So if you want to sort of lift your head up, like, here's where I started using this verb. So yanas would be the command form for it. When you wash kids' hair, you have to get them to look upwards but not open their eyes, right? So you're just trying to keep shampoo from getting in their eyes. So I would say kinde anilqain, but then they would open their eyes because I'm telling them to look up with the, to look at it. So then I realized, oh, I need to be telling them kinde yanas poke your face up. It has nothing to do with opening your eyes. So you can still keep your eyes closed. And so when you talk about kissing, it's like poking your face to someone's mouth. That's literally what you're saying. And when you talk about this type of swimming, like a seal or an otter, that sort of, it goes up and it pokes its head up through the surface. That's another way that it's talking about it. There's also, it would mean to duck. Yinde yanas duck your head down, right? Or, to lower your head, to do something like that. It always has to do with poking the head somewhere, right? And so you could say, they looked out the window, which means they put their face through an open window, right? Window's open, they put their face through to look outside. That's what this verb has to do with.
Okay, I'm going to use that in the language nest because when I zip up the kids' coats, I need them to put their chins up, but I just keep saying kinde, kinde,
Yeah.
but I never knew the verb.
Kinde yanas
Kinde yanas
With the yuch part, I think it's having to do with like towards or through. I have to. But ganach yuch yanas eini. So what you've got here is you also have this I on the end. Ganach yuch yanas eini. Just when it pokes its head to the area outside. Right, lots of stuff in here, all packed in here. Just then, towards the area outside, yuchyanis'áni, when its head is emerging. I think this is, I used to think this was with when I would study this story, but I think it's seeing. When he can see it, when he can see, just when he can see, it's poking its head out the entrance. A x'áan.
Give him a good knock upside the head.
Kaboom! When he sees it, when he saw it sticking its head out, he clubbed it on the head. And I think in his story it says tsu'ashawachich. So he really, you know, it's sort of like, I don't know if you ever kill like a big scary spider or something. Sometimes you know it's dead, but you just keep hitting it, you know, because you're kind of scared. So that, but this probably, you know, but there's a number of things, like coming back to what I was saying when we started the class, like Cyril George, he used to tell us about this story a lot, and he'd say, he was too angry. He did it with anger. That's why those mosquitoes, that's why it turned into mosquitoes, because he was too angry about it. But it killed his brothers, right? So in the longer version, we do get a little bit more sort of like him talking about that. Shoot at the ark, a cut our hut.
He built a fire.
He builds a fire.
And put him on top of it. Oh, and dragged it on top of the fire.
Yeah, oh wow. Oops. And so again, we could say he builds a fire. We'll pick up here on Monday. So Monday, just to sort of reiterate, you folks are going to write 10 sentences that just have a short narrative. Just practice like all these things that we're seeing in terms of how things start getting together. It doesn't have to be some big story, just whatever. Then I'm going to have some translation exercises for you folks to try out and have fun with. And then we'll jump back in, and then I'll come in and we'll sort of go over the translations. We'll hear your sentences. We'll pick this up. By next week, we should be able to get through this whole thing. There's only 5 more sentences after this. Kashuk.
Sheesh. Such take. Does it sound like you'd like to walk on Friday? So I can't hear you, but I think I got a thumbs up from you. So tentatively speaking, yes, she will walk. 2 o'clock at Táax'aa. I was wondering if we could meet at Táax'aa picture at the docks. The picture of Elizabeth Petrovich. So there's at least 2 of us, and maybe we'll spread the word. You mentioned Facebook. That sounds like a good idea, or whatever. So 2 p.m. this Friday at Táax'aa picture. All right, Ganesh Chish.
Ane awe. Saye anaka. daadunéi. Can you say our homework again?
Yeah, yeah. So you're going to write 10 sentences that are a short narrative about whatever you want. That's all you got to do between now and Monday. When you folks sign on Monday at 5:30, I will send one of you the translation exercises, which you will help folks go through. So you'll have 10 sentences, probably, maybe more. Similar to what we did on Monday, where you translate them from, I'll write them in English, and then you got to get them into Tlingit. Then we get done with those, you'll have some that are in Tlingit that you'll get to English. There'll be some nice crunchy morsels that we've been working on. Stuff like, I like to just go right at the edge of where I feel like everybody's at and push everybody off the edge into the nice warm water. But then I'll sign on at 6 o'clock. So come at 5:30, work as a team. I'll come at 6 o'clock. I will behold your amazing translations. I will hear your incredible and interesting sentences. And then we will sort of reflect and talk about it. Then we'll get back in and probably take this Táax'aa story to the end. Although we got a couple of juicy sentences coming up, which will be fun.
So, Kane, this story, did you say you pulled Robert Zuboff's language? Is that what you're using here?
Yeah, so the idea is like I'm going to take 10 stories and they'll have the full version and we listen to it, we read it. Then what I'm going to do is I'll just cut lines. That's step one. Then we'll have sort of like the advanced version, end of the year thing to look at. Then there's going to be one that cuts down further and simplifies quite a few of the lines. And that's going to be for the intermediate students. Then there'll be one that's cut way down and without any, like, cutting metaphors, finding shorter ways to say things, separating sentences. So instead of saying like, just when he could see its face poking out, he clubs, it's like, he clubs it. It comes out, period. He clubs it, period. And not to change the story, because I know people will get mad at me for that, but to say like, let's have a condensed version of this. And then we're going to have an either shorter version that's going to be for the little babies, so that they'll know this story. And then the idea is like you keep learning more and more. And you can always go back to the full version. But then you're going to sort of have these 10 stories that it feels like you're going to master. And this comes from that Salish language, that Salish school that's working with the children of the Táax'aa. And so it's their idea to have these sort of graduated stories, I guess you call them.
And so is this intermediate that we've been plowing through, or is that what it is? Sheesh.
So it cuts it down to a kind of a 30-line story, I think, but still leaves in some of the chunkier stuff. And then I'll show you folks what the advanced version looks like. Then we'll just look at the full one. Then as it comes through, there'll still be a whole bunch of stuff that's like, I'm not really sure how that works, but there'll be a bunch of lines. You'll be like, I know exactly what's in all of those lines, or in that line. Okay.
Héen sak at ḳusax Táax'aa dat yidat dlinkwát ayanach Kayaaní dun 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 haadé nagút eeltín yadak igux haadé nagút ḳusax aḳwáan yatee. Watch out, boy, he'll chew you up. He's a man eater.
That is awesome, man. I hope you wrote this down because I'm going to use that.
That's just the beginning. So I'm going to work on that for my homework.
Okay. Yach igux. She's gonna eat you all up.
Tse Annika.
Yach igux.
Yach igux.
And yeah, because I don't. We might have to wait till Wednesday, but I might, if I remember on Monday, I'll tell you a story of this Kustin Sisk. And that's where I had to figure out how to say that one, because there was this giant owl, and it scared everybody out of the village, because at night it would say, Yach yiguchsacha. I'm gonna eat you all up. Left. I'll tell you folks the story later. So. Yatee, kanachwake, we a chick.
Gunnas cheese a chetis achi.
Oh.
Johan gunnas cheese Yachana.
Okay.
Die Hollandhots, at the Knakwake.
Goodness, cheese, Johan.
Ditto.
How'd you like that salmon?
Chatake.
Oh, I brought some salmon and smoked salmon.
Oh.
How'd you make your salmon?